Hello and welcome to an overview on the principles and key features of the starting and consolidator grants of the European Research Council, widely known as the ERC. My name is Lil Reif. I work at FFG in Austria as national contact point for the ERC, together with my colleague Ylva Huber. In this presentation, we will summarize the most important features of the ERC. This includes in particular how the ERC selects proposals and a very general overview on what is expected from ERC starters and consolidators in terms of their track record. The presentation serves also as a preparation for our more specialized FFG Academy live sessions, where we will go into more detail, provide room for discussion and concrete tips for planning and writing your starting or consolidator grant proposal. The core principles of the ERC remain the same also in Horizon Europe. ERC reviewers want to support exciting research. They look for proposals that can change the field, that hold the promise of a breakthrough. Designed by scientists, the ERC is open to any field of research. There are no priorities of any kind. The ERC also welcomes interdisciplinary approaches. A term often used to characterize the ERC is frontier research. This frontier research spans across all types of research, from basic research to more applied research. The only evaluation criterion for ERC proposals is scientific excellence, as seen by peers. This feature still remains unique in the research funding landscape at EU level. The bottom-up nature of the ERC and its single-minded focus on scientific excellence has made it very attractive to the scientific community and at a global level. This is why it also figures as a highly competitive program with a success rate of around 12%. Let us now take a look at the main players in an ERC project. The protagonist is clearly the project leader, the so-called principal investigator or PI. ERC typically funds individual researchers and their team. An exception is the Synergy Grant, where several PIs and their teams work closely together as a group. The PI can come from anywhere in the world and be at any career stage. Within the ERC, 3 stages are defined. Starters, who often will be at a stage where they need yet to establish their first independent research team or program. Consolidators, they will typically lead already a core team, will have a core team and seek to consolidate their independent team and research line. And the category advanced, which is used for established leading researchers who want to pursue a new direction of research. A second must-have component is the host institution for the ERC project, which needs to be located in the EU or a country that is associated to Horizon Europe. Typically, the ERC project will be carried out at a single host institution, but if additional expertise is required, ERC team members may, for example, also be located at additional host institutions and also outside of Europe. In any case, research and ERC projects should be mainly carried out in Europe. So ERC PIs should spend minimum 50% of their working time in an EU or associated country. Also, the ERC project should be a key priority for the PI. Thus, the PI should devote substantial time to it. Minimum 50% of the PI's total working time for the starting grant and 40% for the consolidator grant. Already at the proposal stage, you need to provide a so-called host institution commitment letter, which is signed by a legal representative of the institution. This commitment letter stipulates that the PI is responsible for the scientific guidance of the project and scientifically independent. For example, also in terms of deciding about the co-authors on publications. A further key feature of ERC grants is the fact that they are portable. So if you are the PI of an ERC grant and at some point another institution in Europe or an associated country offers particularly attractive conditions, you could transfer your grant to a new host. Let us now have a look at a few formalities. What makes you eligible as a starter or consolidator? There is a time window for both types of grants based on a reference date which is given in each ERC annual work program. For each work program, this reference date is the 1st of January. The second reference date for the time window is the date of the successful defense of the first PhD degree. This is new in the upcoming ERC work program 2023. Previously, it was the date of the award of the first PhD degree. To illustrate the new rule for the eligibility window, let's have an example. To qualify as a starter for the starting grant call 2023, meaning the call within the work program 2023, you need to have successfully defended your PhD minimum 2 years and maximum 7 years before January 1st, 2023. So between 1st of January 2016 and 31st December 2020. Please note that the eligibility window for starters and consolidators can be extended under defined circumstances such as maternity, paternity, clinical training, or long-term illness. As for the budget, you can receive up to 1.5 million euros for 5 years for a starting grant and up to 2 million euros for a consolidator grant. This includes a flat rate for indirect costs, so-called overheads, of 25% of direct costs. Exceptionally, you may even receive additional ERC funding of up to 1 million euros, for instance, if you need to purchase major equipment or to access large facilities. Let us now have a look at the ERC evaluation process. ERC applicants have to submit to the ERC 2 proposals at once. On one hand, a short version capturing the research project in just 5 pages, in particular its novelty, ambition, and feasibility, the so-called extended synopsis. And the scientific proposal, which is a more elaborate version of 14 pages, with more room for methodological details. Only if part 1 is convincing, part 2 will be read. We are dealing with a 2-step evaluation process. Both parts, of course, need to tell the same story. So we might compare your groundbreaking ERC proposal with an irresistible, tasty sandwich. B1, the short part, would then be a piece of finger food cut from this sandwich and across all its layers. B2 would be the entire sandwich, made from the same ingredients. In step 1, only the short version, the finger food, is accessible to the evaluators, the so-called ERC panel members. These panel members will often not be specialists in the research area of your project and are thus also officially referred to as generalists. Typically, 4 panel members will read the short proposal individually, and then importantly, after that, they will discuss their comments with the other panel members in order to arrive at a joint opinion. Usually around 25 to 30% of the proposals are favorably evaluated in step 1 and thus proceed further to step 2. In step 2, the full proposal becomes accessible to the evaluators. The generalist panel members who read the proposal in step 1 will now be supported by several specialists. These specialists have additional remote referees, usually minimum 3, that the panel members have invited based on the short proposal. The remote referees will send their individual evaluation comments to the panel members, but will not participate in a discussion. In step 2, all PIs are also invited to an interview with the panel members. This interview plays an important role for the final funding decision, which is taken by the panel members, and that the interview panel members will often read out questions or critical comments that have been raised by the specialist referees. Thus, the interview provides an opportunity to address such issues. Following the interview, the panel members decide on whether the project is funded or not. Although ERC funding is entirely bottom-up, you will have to assign your proposal to 1 or 2 of 27 evaluation panels, which you can see here, and which will also be used for the upcoming call in 2023. And they are grouped along the scientific domains of the ERC: physical sciences and engineering, life sciences, or social sciences and humanities. Scientific excellence, the only evaluation criterion for ERC proposals, will be looked at from 2 angles by evaluators: the research project, and in particular its groundbreaking nature and the scientific approach, and the profile of the PI according to the career stage. The questions to be answered by ERC panel members and remote referees are summarized here, and you find them in detail also in the ERC work program. Now, picking up again on the PI profile. The ERC work program, the key document to read in preparation for a proposal, also provides some very general provisions in terms of what makes a CV and the track record of a competitive starter or consolidator candidate. It is important to bear in mind that the concrete benchmarks may also vary depending on the research area of your project, but it is certainly useful to be conscious of the key expectations. Both starters and consolidators should show a, quote, promising track record of early achievements appropriate to the research field and career stage. This includes significant publications in peer-reviewed leading journals, monographs, typically in the social sciences and humanities, invited presentations in well-established international conferences, granted patents, prizes, awards, etc. But again, there can be differences depending on the field, and panel members aim to assess the CV and the track record of each PI in its own right. To qualify as a competitive starter, the PI must already have shown the potential for research independence and evidence of maturity, for instance, by having produced at least 1 important publication as main author or without the participation of the PhD supervisor. For consolidators, the PI must have already shown research independence and evidence of maturity, for instance, by several important publications as main author or without participation of the PhD supervisor. The question of how to present your CV and track record will also be a topic during the domain-specific online sessions, but as a general recommendation, all the information taken together should make it clear to reviewers what makes you stand out and why you are in an excellent position to lead the research you propose as principal investigator. For inspiration, it might be helpful to look at the CV of ERC grantees and the project abstracts they submitted for their grant. Thus, we highly recommend to make use of the ERC-funded project database captured on this screenshot. To decide on the possibly best time for submitting an ERC proposal, it is also good to know that there are some restrictions on the resubmission of ERC proposals based on the different evaluation categories. If your ERC proposal is passed on to step 2, but ultimately not funded, you can immediately resubmit in the next call. If the proposal is not successful in step 1, the waiting time for PIs, 1 year or 2 years, depends on the evaluation category as shown here. A notable exception is the synergy grant, and there is no waiting window for starters and consolidators who consider submitting a synergy grant proposal. To conclude, you see here an overview of the services offered by FFG for ERC applicants, ranging from grant writing sessions to information packages for each call and a proposal check. We hope that this presentation was useful to you and wish you all the best and goodbye.